Welcome back. In a surprise visit, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida arrived in Ukraine via a train from Poland soon after his visit to India. The Japanese PM will hold talks with Volodymyr Zelensky today. Kishida has joined a long list of international leaders to have visited the war-torn country, with the latest visitor being American President Joe Biden. Kishida also visited Bucha, where Russian forces allegedly massacred civilians. Ukraine welcomed the Japanese PM's visit as a historic one and said it was a show of support. The visit again comes against the background of the ongoing talks between Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Joining me here on the program is Dr. Satoru Nago, fellow from the Hudson Institute based in Tokyo in Japan. Very good evening. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here today. Dr. Satoru, glad to have you with us. I want to begin by asking you that this visit comes after your Prime Minister's meeting with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. And it seems there was pressure at home in Japan to visit Ukraine. Japan has been, of course, in step with the other G7 nations in sanctioning Russia. Do you see this visit as a clear message, a clear display of support to Ukraine over Moscow's invasion?
I think it is clear. Kishida's visit has three purposes in my analysis. Firstly, Japan is facing the serious situation because Russia is relying on China and China's influence is expanding. So now Japan needs to deal with China, Russia, and North Korea at the same time. In this case, as the presidency of the G7, Japan needs to show the leadership. But traditionally, Japan is a pacifist. That's why Japan hesitates to do many things related with the security. That's why the Prime Minister Kishida tried to break through. Yes. If Japan hesitates to visit Kyiv, Japan cannot show the leadership. Japan needs to show the courage. That's why this is also the purpose. And thirdly, one more thing very important.
Yes.
This is a visit cooperate with other three countries, especially India and Poland and Ukraine. Without cooperation with these three countries, Kishida cannot visit Ukraine. So that's why this is international corporate project. And this is a very covert operation.
Yes.
So that's why this is the first time for Japan. That's why this is also the one kind of the purpose. Japan need to show their capability, and Japan want to cooperate with India and the Poland and Ukraine and achieve this visit.
Very interesting what you tell us, because you're saying this is a covert operation. You're saying Japan is a pacifist nation to begin with because of a pacifist constitution. It cannot be seen, overtly supporting one side or the other. In that sense, there are limitations for the Japanese Prime Minister. But of course, like you mentioned, this is an opportunity for Japan to show some leadership, show some spine, show some courage, owing to which this decision had to be taken. I want to also draw your views on a couple of other things. We know that Japan is to chair the Group of Seven summit in May, and he's the only G7 leader at the moment who had not visited the Ukraine, not visited Ukraine so far. So, like I said, he was under pressure to do so. But at the same time, I want to understand from you that this, in fact, is a historic visit, because this is Japan's first post-war leader to enter a war zone. Are there consequences to this which may not work in Japan's favor as well?
Yes, that is very important. Yes, this is because in Japan's perception, Russia's aggression in Ukraine is Russia was wrong. So, because Russia violated the rule-based order. In this case, supporting Ukraine, stand with Ukraine is justice, the Japanese belief. That's why Kishida tried to show the courage to support Ukraine by visiting Kyiv. that is maybe a little popular move in Japan. And but at the same time, currently, the Xi Jinping visits Moscow, and there is a possibility China will expand to support the Moscow, and supplying military equipment will happen at a more bigger scale. So that's why Kishida's visit and Xi Jinping's visit is, of course, a completely separate project and planned separately. But coincidentally, Japan needs to show their courage in front of China. That is
Yes,
also
that's very interesting.
important part. So that's why this is popular move, and Japanese believe we must do it.
Yes, that's interesting. Yes, I was going to come to that, that this comes at a juncture where you have the Chinese premier in Moscow in discussion with Vladimir Putin. But also, let's not forget to talk about Japanese Prime Minister's visit to India. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, began by offering his condolences on the demise of Shinzo Abe and noted his contributions in strengthening India-Japan partnership. But what is important is conceptualizing the vision of a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. Do you have anything to comment on the fact that here is an occasion where you have both the prime ministers sharing a very, very comfortable, strong relationship, and that also, in a way, sends a message?
Yes, that was very important. Indeed, when we remember which one is the starting point of the Indo-Pacific, the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's address in the Indian Parliament in 2007, which is 15 years ago, was the starting point. So now, as a materialized plan, Indo-Pacific plan, the Kishida published from India again. So start from India, and materialized plan is also published from India. So what kind of the message Japan wants to send is, India is the most important in the Indo-Pacific. Because you can imagine, it is true. Before Shinzo Abe suggested Indo-Pacific, people use Asia-Pacific, which do not include India. So why Shinzo Abe focusing on Indo-Pacific? Because Japan wants to include India. So India is very important. That message is very important. Japan wants to advertise. That's why Kishida visit India and publish Indo-Pacific plan this time. So now the Kishida spent Kishida spent 1 day in Kyiv, but this visit is also supported by India, because when Kishida go to the airport and find the airplane to go to Poland, this is a plane, completely different plane when he visit Delhi. So that's why the security forces of the Indian government arranged it to secure the route. So that's why this is a cooperation. This is a cooperation between India and Japan. So every time India is important. That is a message Japan wants to send. And that is the reason this visit is very important.
Right. You're saying this visit of the Japanese Prime Minister to Ukraine has an important contribution from India. You're saying much of the security that was required in the initial stages was arranged by India. Thank you so much, Dr. Satoru Nago, for joining us here on Mirror.